Okay, morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's 9 a.m. I hope everybody's doing well on, what are we now on? I think we're in 4 weeks or 5 weeks down into lockdown, and we got some news yesterday to say that things are going to be changing from 1st of May. I know it's been tough times for most organizations and most individuals. So we've decided as a firm to just utilize our skills and provide some information on things that are affecting your organization. There's been a lot of confusion about who can claim what, or what is available to you as a nonprofit. Are you entitled to certain benefits that the government has rolled out? And we just wanted to shed some information on that. So we will be rolling out a number of webinars over the next few weeks. It'll be short ones. Just the format of today, we've scheduled it for an hour. We will be doing just two matters on the COVID-19 relief, which is the TERS, which is the Temporary Employer Relief Scheme, and the ETI benefits. And then we will take questions towards the end of the webinar. So just a little bit about Turning Point itself. So I know we've got a number of people on the webinar today who actually are not some of our clients. So a little bit about ourselves, we will cover that. And then we're going to go into the nitty-gritties of the Department of Labor benefits and the tax relief benefits, and then obviously taking questions at the end. So who are we? Well, Turning Point is a group of CAs. We like to think we're young, we're all under 40. We've all got specialized skills in audit, accounting, and tax. And what makes us different is that we actually specialize in the NPO sector. So we are one of the largest provider of financial services to the NPO sector. And our vision is to continue to assist nonprofits and to provide value to you as an organization. It's often a sector that is often overlooked by professional services. That's generally the perception that you have. So we pride ourselves in our knowledge that we have on the sector and the expertise that we bring to you as an organization. In terms of, our promise or what our values are, we're always looking at providing you with a high quality service and providing you with or delivering on what we promise. So we don't want to, there's no distinction as to what size of the organization you are. No matter what size you are or what you do, we are always passionate about how we will service you, and we will always deliver on whatever we've promised. Okay, just a snapshot of some of our services. I mean, we are most like a typical accounting firm. We cover audit, accounting, tax. But obviously from an NPO perspective, we assist with registrations, setting your organization up from all the registrations from the start to the end, assisting with review of your founding documents. Most of the nonprofits will know that there's specific requirements that need to be in your founding documents for you to qualify as a public benefit organization with SARS, or even to register with the Department of Social Development as an NPO. So we assist with those. We do, besides statutory audits, we also assist with fund and donor audits, which I know a lot of nonprofit organizations have to undergo donor audits. We do quite a bit of training, seminars, and workshops. This year is a little different with the lockdown and the coronavirus. Obviously, we've had to now relook at how we're going to be doing our workshops. And then from a tax perspective, we do normal compliance work. And then we have a VAT partner who is actually one of the leading VAT consultants in the country. He does a lot of VAT consulting. And then we do accounting and bookkeeping services. I think I actually forgot to even talk about who I am. So my name is Farida Lavangee. Sorry if I think I mentioned that earlier when we just were going through just the house rules. So my name is Farida Lavangee. I am a chartered accountant and a registered auditor. I've been with Turning Point now for, I think, going on 5 years. I've been qualified, I think, for more than 15 years now. So I did my articles at a Big Four, and I was a senior audit manager at one of the big 4 firms. The other 2 partners at Turning Points are also chartered accountants, also from a big 4 background, and they've also posted articles, I think 15 years now. So the one partner is Riza Amra. I think he's actually sitting in on the webinar today, and our tax partner and our VAT partner is Ridwan Khan. So that's just about us. And then our last service line is just accounting, where we do basic accounting for your clients. We will be your outsourced accountant, where we cover everything for you. So your processing all the way through to your management accounts, your financial statements, assisting with review of your controls. So as you can see, we have a wide array of services. So if you haven't worked with us before, you can always look in. Our website is currently under reconstruction at the moment. So if you need any specific advice, you can just always drop me a line and we can always contact you to take it forward. Okay, so to get to the matter at hand, which is our COVID-19 information. So there's been obviously a lot of information that's come out since the lockdown was imposed way back in March. I can't believe we already finished. We're almost at the end of the lockdown. I think from my perspective, it's gone quite quick. We've been very busy as accountants because the regulations have been changing every week. So just when you think you understand something, it changes again. So you'll see towards my end of our slides, we actually have a disclaimer that the information we are disseminating today is actually just, it's up to date as of today. So it does not take into account changes that may come in. Okay, so we're going to look at, from a COVID-19 perspective, what options are there for you as an employer. We're looking at specifically first just the Department of Labor options. So I've got 2 up. There are other ones, but we're going to focus on these 2 for now. The first one is the reduced work time benefit. So this is like a normal UIF claim where your organization shuts down or an employee has been put on reduced time or short time. The employee can claim from the Department of Labor as per normal how they would have done in the past. And the forms that they would submit is the normal UIF forms, the UI-19, the 12.7, and it's exactly how UIF used to be in the past. So we're not going to spend too much time on that because that's from an employee perspective and it doesn't really impact you as the employer. So the one that we're going to focus on now is the National Disaster Benefit Fund for coronavirus, which is called the Temporary Employer Relief Scheme. So this is a new fund that was introduced obviously now because of the coronavirus and the situation, the country and globally that we found ourselves in. So there's certain requirements as to who can claim and when a claim can be done. Just to start off with, the claim in this case is done by the employer. So you as the employer will submit this claim to the Department of Labor. However, there are certain requirements that have to be met in order for you to qualify for the benefit. So the first requirement, which I think this is most organizations will meet this, is that you need to have been shut down for 3 months or less due to the COVID-19 and you are unable to pay your employees. So in this case, technically your staff are laid off temporarily. So the important thing there is that you must be in a position where you cannot pay your employees. The relief now also includes both complete shutdown as well as partial shutdown. So if you are in a situation where you have some staff that are working remotely, you can still claim from the Department of Labor. Then the next requirement is that you are either not paying your staff any salary, so you're paying 0 to your staff, or you've decided to give them a partial salary payment. And then the next one is that, or you've put your employees on paid leave. So you've told your staff, okay, we will pay you for this month, but it comes out of your annual leave. Okay. There's one more requirement that goes in there, is that you had to have been registered with the Department of Labor as an employer, which that one makes sense. I mean, you can't be claiming money from them if you haven't been contributing to the fund. So just to summarize again, you must have closed down for 3 months or less. either partially closed or you're doing complete shutdown. And then the next ones is important is the payment of the salary. So you cannot be paying your employees their full salary. You cannot, or you must be making a partial payment to them. And then third option is where if you do pay, you're paying them only because they are taking leave. Okay, so those things are important. There's a lot of organizations, I've gotten a lot of calls from clients asking, can I claim TERS relief? I've paid my staff salary for April. And the answer to that is, no, you actually cannot claim from TERS if you have paid your staff. Okay. The assistance that the Department of Labor will provide. Okay, so there's also another misconception is that people think that, okay, we're going to claim from this fund and we're going to get the full salary. So that is a misconception because the Department of Labor is not going to pay 100% of the employee's salary. So what they will do is they're working on a sliding scale of 38% to 60%. And then they've put certain caps in place. So the maximum salary has been capped at 17,712, and then it will be paid on the sliding scale. So for example, if you have somebody that earns 20,000 Rand a month, the maximum they can get is 38% of 17,712, which amounts to 6,730. So important thing to remember, because we've been getting the question is, okay, so how much is the Department of Labor going to pay me? So a very important thing to understand is that the maximum that somebody can get is 6,730. And then the minimum amount will be 3,500 Rand. So this is linked to minimum wage benefits. Another important thing to note is, so we've got the paid leave option. So remember I said one of the requirements was that if you are paying your staff and you've asked them to take leave, you can actually claim from this National Disaster Benefit Fund. So in this case, what they've said is that if you have put your staff on paid leave, you as the employer will submit the claim. And any amount that is received from the Department of Labor for that specific employee who's on paid leave, you can retain. You can keep it in your bank account. You don't have to pay it out to the employee at all. However, what you will need to do is you'll have to calculate what is the equivalent leave days that you are retaining, and you will now owe that employee those leave days in the future. Okay. Then I just want to, before I go on to the forms required and how to submit, I just want to highlight one more thing. So how the claim works is that you will submit it and you as the employer will receive the money, and you then have to now pay it over to your employees. They've put in a requirement to say that you have to pay it, I think, within 5 days to your employee, and you have to maintain all the records of this because the Department of Labor can come back and do an audit on you. Because I guess that's the only way they can police this, where the people are gonna claim and retain the money for themselves. So the only money that you as the employer can keep in your bank account after you've received it from the Department of Labor is if you've put your staff on paid leave. Okay, in terms of the forms that need to be completed, so the TERS forms are very different to the normal UIF that we know, which is up on the screen, the reduced work time benefit. So the first step is you have to actually email this address, covid19ters@labor.gov.za, and they will then send you an email with instructions as to what needs to be done, and they would also provide you with an Excel file which has to be completed. So they've now also introduced online submissions. So this has been, I think in the last week, this has been available where you can submit your claim via the uifecc.labor.gov.za. And the process that you do is, one, you have to register as a user. So you would create a user account and you log in once you've registered. You then have to complete the registration of the company and the employees tab. And again, all this information or the steps of how to do this is provided to you by the Department of Labor when you submit an email to COVID-19. You'll then, the next step is, it'll come up with an MOA. So the MOA is a memorandum of acceptance, I think. And there's 4 options in there, and your guide will also tell you which one you need to take. So you will then accept that, just literally just clicking a button to say accepting the terms and conditions. And then they will take you to the next screen, which talks about a letter of undertaking between UIF and the employer. Again, it's their template. There's nothing actually to amend in there. All you have to do is just tick on the button accept. And then you have to upload 2 documents. So the first one is your bank confirmation letter. So initially when the TERS scheme information was released, they required that the employer had to open up a separate bank account. So that requirement has now been removed. And then they also required that you upload a bank stamped document. So that has also been removed. So you can just upload your bank confirmation letter, which you can obtain through your internet banking. And then you have to upload the CSV file. So this is where the most amount of work goes in, because you're basically now submitting in the CSV file. So it's their template. It's got, I think, up to, there's maybe about 15 to 20 columns that you have to complete, but it's basically asking you information about your employees. So you're going to submit their ID number, their names, and then they want information like what is this employee's normal monthly salary. So you would include their gross salary in there. Then they want to know how much are you or how much is the employer paying this employee. So this is where if you are paying nothing to your employee, you would put 0 in there. If you are paying a part salary, you would disclose how much you are paying. And then you would, and then they ask for banking details and things. There's the instructions from TERS or from the COVID-19 email. It shows you exactly how to convert the Excel document into the format that they want, and then you upload it. Once you've uploaded all the documents, you will get an email to say whether your documents were received successfully or not. And then they tell you the ones we've received have said that, okay, the documents have been submitted successfully and you've got to wait for 10 days for payment to come through. So we've just done a few submissions during this week. Okay. So that's on how to submit the claim. So I think there was some correspondence that came out last week that mentioned that the Department of Labor hadn't done a lot of payments, and their response to that was because people were submitting information in the incorrect format or submitting incorrect data. So very important to make sure that you are submitting your documents in the correct format. And now I think it's a little bit easier now because the online portal is up and there's a lot more instructions as to what you need to be doing. Okay. Additional requirements, I think we've covered. Okay, we've covered that the business must be registered with the Department of Labor. I've said that. Next bullet point, or in terms of additional requirements, is that the money that you get from the Department of Labor, you can only use it to pay your employees, right? I'm gonna leave the employees that are on paid leave aside for now. So for those employees that you're not paying at all, or you are part paying, whatever you are getting from the Department of Labor, you have to pay it over to your employees. The guidance has come out to say that, like, the bank can't retain any of that money even if you are in an overdraft. So nobody else has an entitlement to that money besides the employee. Okay. Another one is if the employees are entitled to UIF benefits via a bargaining council, then they cannot claim via TERS as well, obviously, because then you are double dipping and claiming from 2 sides. And the last one, which is the total benefit that's being paid out. So basically, they're saying that an employee can never receive more than their normal gross salary. So if the employer is paying a portion and UIF is also paying a portion to this employee, the 2 added up cannot be more than what the employee normally earns. Again, it makes sense because you're not there. The whole point of this is to assist people, but not to put additional money in people's pockets. Okay, so I'm just covering some frequently asked questions that I've gotten from people recently, since everything's been released. The first one is, how do I actually now prepare my EMP 201 if I have submitted a TERS claim to the Department of Labor? I.e., do I need to declare any amounts received? So if you've now, let's go on the option where you are not paying your staff anything. So if you are paying your staff zero from your side, that means you're doing a full claim to the Department of Labor, then technically your payroll is zero. So on your EMP 201, you won't have any PAYE or you won't have any UIF to declare because you have no salary cost. The amount that you are receiving from the Department of Labor doesn't affect your EMP 201 at all because you're merely an agent, right? If you are part paying, so now you're saying, okay, I'm going to give my employees 20% of their salary this month. Then in that case, obviously you do have a payroll cost. So your 20% of your salary, like normal, you will have to work out what is the UIF due on that and what is the PAYE that is due on that, and that will get disclosed. But the money that you get from the Department of Labor, that does not go onto your EMP 201 at all. The next question we've received is, does the employer have to include the amount received as income, i.e., is this amount subject to normal company tax? Okay, so the answer to this is no again, because again, you're merely acting as an agent. So whatever money that comes in from the Department of Labor is not income for you. So it's merely comes into your bank account and you pay it out to your employees. Okay, so that was the COVID-19 relief. We're now going to go on to the tax relief that's available. Okay. So the first one we're looking at is the expansion of ETI. So I just want to go back to basics just to explain, okay, what is ETI and how does it work? So ETI is a tax incentive scheme that was introduced by the government in 2014. And the aim was to encourage employers to hire young work seekers, right? So they obviously wanted to promote employment in the country. And that was the whole point of it. How did the employers benefit from the ETI claim? Well, what happened is that you were able to reduce your monthly employee tax payment to SARS. So the PAYE that you owed SARS, you could reduce it by the ETI that was due to you, and you would pay SARS less money at the end of the month. So it was putting money back into employers' pockets, right? So that was the point of ETI. Now with COVID-19, the government has said, okay, they've looked at ETI to see how can they assist employers. And this was one way where they've now expanding the ETI available to employers. And we're going to cover now, okay, is it applicable to NPOs? Yes, this one is definitely applicable to NPOs. And what has actually changed? So the first thing they've changed, an important thing to remember, is the periods that, for now, the period that you can claim these new revised amounts is 1st of April 2020 to the 31st of July 2020. Okay, so you've got, that's the period with which you can claim. And if you're looking at the claim, okay, so how ETI works is that you can claim over a period of 24 months for an employee. They've now said, okay, for the first qualifying 12 months, they've increased the ETI from 1,000 Rand per employee per month to 1,500 Rand per employee per month. They've also now said, okay, in your second 12 months, instead of paying 500 Rand a month, you will now qualify for 1,000 Rand a month. Okay, so the employee, so that's the scale. So we've moved 1,000 Rand to 1,500 Rand, and from 500 Rand to 1,000 Rand. Okay, the next one is that they've now allowed for is they've allowed for an additional claim of 500 Rand during the period April 2020 to 31st of July 2020 for the following employees. So those employees aged between 18 and 29, where the employer has already claimed the 24-month ETI for them, right? So now they're saying, okay, for these 4 months, you can claim an additional 500 Rand a month per employee. And for employees that are aged between 30 and 65, so they never qualified for ETI purely because they didn't meet the age requirement. you can now claim 500 Rand a month. An important note is that this 500 Rand is possibly going to be 750 Rand per month. So this is in the updated bill, expected to be released on the 30th of April. So just be aware of that this 500 Rand a month is probably going to be up to 750. And then the last expansion that they've done, or the revision they've done to ETI, is the payment has been accelerated from twice a year now to monthly. So obviously they're trying to put more cash back in the employer's pocket. Okay, what are the requirements? Okay, so to qualify for ETI, the number one requirement is for this new one where they upping the limits from 1,000 to 1,500 and from 500 to 1,000 Rand. Number one, you must have been registered with SARS as an employer as at 1 March 2020. Okay, so that's for you to qualify for this new claims or the higher claims. You must have been registered as at 1 March 2020. Then the following requirements are not new, but I'm just highlighting it. So the first one is that the organization must be fully tax compliant in order to claim ETI. We're going to cover in our next slide what that means. Then the employee has to earn below 6,500 Rand. Again, it's not a new requirement. So if you earn 6,500 Rand, you don't qualify for ETI. So it must be below. So 6,499 Rand. The employee must be South African. Again, it's not a new requirement. Employee is not a domestic worker. And the employee was hired after the 1st of October 2013. Very important is that date of engagement. So if you've got employees that were hired before that, you're not going to qualify for any of this expanded ETI claims. Okay. So what does it mean to be fully tax compliant? Okay, so this means that you can't have any outstanding returns with SARS. So it's not just limited to employee taxes. So it's everything. So your income tax, if you're registered for VAT, there cannot be any outstanding VAT returns. Provisional tax, if that is applicable, and obviously the PAYE, which is your EMP 201. The second one is that there must be no outstanding payments owing to SARS. So you can't owe SARS any money for any taxes. Okay, so very important to be fully compliant. And for those of you that do prepare EMP 201s, you'll know that it does not allow you to claim ETI if you are not compliant. So those blocks are grayed out. And that's already done by SARS. So you will know whether you can claim or not. And then how do you claim the ETI? So it's claimed via your EMP 201 that you will submit on a monthly basis to SARS. You just have to complete the fields ETI calculated and ETI utilized. Okay. So the matters for consideration for you as an employer. Okay. So the first one is, from an ETI's perspective, is to ensure that the correct amounts are being claimed. Okay, because the limits have changed, you obviously need to ensure that you're claiming with the new limits if you meet the requirements. And then the next consideration is that, okay, if you're using an automated software such as like VIP or Pastel Payroll, you need to ensure that that an update has been rolled out. I know that VIP or Sage has rolled out their update for ETI. So very important to ensure that you've updated your software to make sure that you are using the most recent software and your ETI is calculated correctly. And then obviously if you are doing a manual payroll, then you're going to have to now check things manually. So you're going to have to check the employees' date of appointment to ensure that it was after 1st of October 2013. Then you're going to have to look at their age requirements, whether you've claimed before. So there's some work that will need to go in if you're doing a manual payroll. So that's your considerations for ETI. Then if we're looking at from a TERS perspective, obviously you want to submit complete information. Remember I mentioned earlier that one of the comments the Department of Labor put out as to why they hadn't made as many payments compared to the applications that received is because organizations or employers were submitting incomplete information. the submission of the documentation in the correct format. Remember that CSV template, there's specific instructions as to what needs to be done and how you need to convert the file. And then you need to look at the timing of the submission, purely because of the fact that your employees are used to getting their salary by a certain date. So you need to make sure, and there's obviously a timeline as to when you submit the documents and whether it's accepted and when the payment will be received. So our advice would be is obviously don't leave it till the end of the month to do the submission to the Department of Labor if you want your employees to get their money around the same time. So you probably would want to do it a little bit earlier in the month. Okay. Then how can we assist you with ETI claims? Okay, so for our existing payroll clients, we're offering at no additional cost, we will do the computation and obviously ensure that the correct thresholds are being applied, and we will claim the ETI when we're doing the EMP21. If you are non-compliant, we've actually done the exercise on our side as soon as the legislation came out to just do a check to see which clients were non-compliant, and we got them up to date. So for existing payroll clients, we got you covered. For our non-TPC clients, so we can assist with review of your computation, where we can just make sure that the correct thresholds have been applied, and our charge there will be 100 Rand an employee. And we could also assist you by doing your ETI computation for you. And in that case, our charge will be 150 Rand per employee. Then how can we assist you with the TERS claim? Okay, again, if you're an existing Turning Point client, we will do your submission for you at no additional cost, and we'll also perform a follow-up on the submission. For non-TPC clients, we can assist with the review of your documentation prior to submission at a charge of 50 Rand an employee. And we can also assist you where we will take control of the process. So we will prepare all the documents, we will do your submission, and we'll perform the follow-up. And that will be at a charge of 100 Rand an employee. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, the legislation is changing on like a regular basis. I think we've now changed our slides 3 times because I did a webinar last week as well. And the data is constantly updating. So always make sure that you're aware of what is the most recent information. We put a disclaimer in that the information we've disseminated today is valid up until today. And then I just wanted to make one point on the TERS itself. Like on the 16th of April, they released a revision to say that you can claim TERS if you've put your employees on paid leave. However, the templates haven't been updated as yet for you to indicate whether you're paying somebody because they are on paid leave. So as it stands, we've submitted to SICA a request to just check with the Department of Labor whether they will be updating that template or not, because the issue you have is that if you're submitting it at the moment, say you've put your staff on leave in April and you're paying them their full salary. So one of the requirements in the documents is you have to actually include their how much you as the employer are paying. And if you put in, so say if somebody earns 5,000 as their normal salary and you're putting in 5,000 is what you're paying, and without a column to say that that is for leave, the Department of Labor won't pay you out for that employee. So we've raised that as an issue, and we've submitted it to SICA, who are now taking it up with the Department of Labor. So just important thing to keep that in mind when you're doing your submissions. Okay, we're gonna, okay, thank you for listening in. We're gonna take questions now. So I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen and then I'm going to go through the questions that have been shared. If I don't get through to all the questions or I haven't specifically addressed your question, you can just send me an email and I will respond. I did see that there was a question as to whether the webinar recording will be made available. Yes, it will be. We will send out a link to the recording later on today. So I think I did see that as a question. Okay, so thank you so much. I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen and then, oh, here's my contact details. Sorry, before I stop sharing. It's got our website address, but just note our website is currently under construction. You can email me, farida@tpcsa.co.za, and I will respond to you with your queries. And then my cell phone number is up there, obviously because we're currently working remotely. So you can get me on my cell phone as well. Best thing would be his email, and then I will, if I don't respond within the day, then maybe get me a call. Okay, thank you so much, and we're gonna now go through the questions. Okay, so I see we've got quite a few questions that have come through. Okay, so the first question we got was, do you have the sliding scale available? So the sliding scale that we've received is basically that it's between 38% and 60%. So where you sit on that scale, there's no like detailed guidance to say, okay, if your salary is X amount, you will be getting a certain percentage. Only the Department of Labor knows that. But from our understanding, the higher salary earners will be on the lower end of the scale, and the lower income earners will be on the higher end of the scale. But yeah, that's about all we have on that. Next question. The confusing part of TERS is if you want to top up the salaries to the normal amount, as we don't know what TERS will give and don't have access to the sliding scale, then it's hard to know what to put in the column for salary during lockdown. Yeah, I agree, because you want to assess. My advice would probably be in that case is do the submission. I'm just thinking maybe you put in that you're not paying anything, because the maximum somebody is going to get if they're earning above 17,000 is 6,730 rand, and then maybe just see from there. You can then decide, okay, we've got an X amount from them, so we'll top up with this amount. It is difficult to do. I don't really have any ideas besides that one for now. Next question. Are the claims for employees and leave done separately? So like I mentioned on that one, the template at the moment still doesn't account for people that are on leave. I think we just need to wait on that. As soon as we get guidance on it, we will probably put out another newsletter or another just infographic just to say this is what's changed. So maybe just keep a lookout for that. For now, the template doesn't allow you to show leave separately. Okay. Okay. Number 4. We are an essential service. Okay, so the question is, we are an essential service being a child's haven. Not all our staff are essential though. So if we let these staff members go on annual leave, can we claim from TERS? Yes, you can, if you are paying them, at least to get these staff's annual leave back, or should we let the staff work due to being an essential service, although they're not essential? Okay. I can answer your question about whether you can claim from TERS. So basically, for these staff members which you've asked to go on leave, you are allowed to claim from TERS for them, and you will get paid out. And then I mentioned earlier, you got to then, obviously, you can retain the money you've received, but you have to give that employee those leave days in the future. If you ask them to go on unpaid leave, then it's a normal TERS submission, because then you haven't paid the employee anything and you would just claim normally. What amount do I have to include under the leave income column if I am paying the employees their full salaries while they are on leave? Okay, so in this case, it would be the full, but I haven't seen the leave income yet column. So maybe the person who's asked this question could just drop me an email after this, because the template we've been working with up until yesterday didn't ask for a leave column. So if you could just email me and we can discuss it. Okay. Next question. for the duration of the lockdown, I've put my employees on paid annual leave and already paid their full salaries. Would I still be able to submit an application? Yes, you will be able to submit an application. I think we've covered quite a bit of the leave part of it. Okay, we've mentioned about the presentation. Okay, the next one, it's about SES codes. Okay, okay, the next one is, once the TERS benefit is received, does the employer have to give back all annual leave? No, so you won't give back all the annual leave. You'd have to work out the difference. So of how much leave days you owe them now, because remember, Department of Labor is not going to give you back that employee's full salary, or in most cases it won't be the full salary because of the sliding scale. So you'd have to do a calculation to work out, okay, I've asked them to take leave for this month and I've paid them X amount of salary, but I've retained a certain amount of that salary now because UIF has paid me back. So how much leave days do I actually owe them? So it shouldn't be 100% of their leave. Okay, where can one get the recon of the amount paid by UIF? I'm assuming you're talking about the amount that will be received. I think they're going to be releasing information on that. We haven't seen anything as yet. To date, I mean, the submissions we've done, our clients haven't been paid out as yet because they're still within the 10 days. So when we know more on that, we could probably, I could send out information on that one. Okay, do we have offices in Gauteng? We don't have offices in Gauteng. Obviously, we do have a national presence in the sense that we do have a client base which is outside of KZN. Previously, okay, prior to lockdown, we would travel and go out to our clients, but we obviously do work remotely now. So you can just contact us if you are in Gauteng and need assistance. Okay, okay, this is a question. So to my understanding, you can only claim in 3 instances where the employer is paying 0 salary. Yes, that's correct. A part salary. Yes, that's correct. Or if the employer has placed the employee on annual leave. Yes, correct. If the company has paid the full salaries to staff, can we still claim from TERS? No, you can't. The whole idea of TERS was to assist employees. The only reason the employer is doing the submission is because the Department of Labor doesn't want to receive 100,000 claims from individuals. It's a lot easier to manage the process if they have an organization that they're dealing with. So your company will pay out the money to your employees. It's not, TERS was not created to assist the employer. It's the whole point of this is that to prevent companies or organizations from laying off their staff and employees getting no income during this period. So that was why TERS was created. So just to reiterate that, if you've paid your full salaries to your staff, you cannot claim from TERS. Okay. I can only afford to pay my employees a fraction of their salaries, but given them a full salary on the expectation that I will be reimbursed a portion that I can't afford from UIF. How do I approach my application in this case? So my advice would have been is that you should be only paying the portion that you can. So if you can only pay 30% or 40%, that would be your payroll cost. You pay the 40%, and then you claim and you disclose to the Department of Labor that you've paid X amount. I think if you've given them the full salary already, your form or your submission might be a bit tricky because the Department of Labor, there's no way of disclosing why you've given them the full salary. So the Department of Labor probably wouldn't pay you out in that case. So it's a bit of a tricky one. Okay, I have a question on ETI. I just want to make sure I understand correctly on ETI. If we have never registered for ETI before, we can register and claim ETI now. Okay, so for ETI, there's no registration other than the fact that you must have been registered as an employer with SARS. So if you were submitting EMP 201s on a monthly basis to SARS, then you are registered. So there's no issue on that itself. So there's no separate registration that you need to do. The requirements that you need to comply with is there's obviously specific requirements of which individuals you can claim ETI for. They must have been earning below 6,500, must be South African. The original requirements was the employees must have been between 18 and 29. And they must have been employed after 1st of October 2013. So there's no specific registration for ETI itself. It's just normal employer taxes registration. Okay, I think that's all the questions we've got so far. I'm not too sure if anybody else has any additional questions. Okay, we've just got a question. You said if you can't claim TERS if you pay full salary, but surely you can pay full if it's leave pay and then claim it back from TERS. Yes, so I've said that before, that if you're paying your staff their salary and you've asked them to be on leave, then yes, you can claim from TERS. But if you have paid your staff their salary and it's not coming out of the leave days at all, then you can't claim from TERS. So important thing is to remember is that if you put them on paid leave, then you can claim from TERS. Okay. I'm just checking if there's any more questions. I think that was the last one that's come through. Okay. Okay. When claiming TERS, am I correct to say that there will be no payslip as payment is made between the UIF and the employee? Yes, so if you are not paying your employee anything, so leave days for now. If you are paying your employee zero salary, then there won't be a pay slip. So there's no payroll for that month. If you are paying your employee a percentage of their salary, then you would have to have a pay slip, or you would have to have payroll costs for the percentage that you are paying. And if for the leave pay, so if you've paid your employee the full salary and you get paid a portion back, my understanding is that the difference would be your payroll costs. So you'd have to have a pay slip for the difference, because technically you've paid your employee for a certain part of the month. As an NGO, we have not yet received our subsidies yet. Can we claim from TERS in the meantime to ensure we can pay salaries to employees? Yes, so if you, obviously the whole point of TERS is that it's trying to assist employees, right? So if you do not have the funds to make a payment to your employees for their salaries, you can claim from TERS, and then the money that you do get, obviously you'll pay it over to the employees. What's the UIF COVID online website address? Okay, let me just get that for you. I don't know it offhand. So the email address to obtain the templates and the information is covid19ters@labor.gov.za. We will be putting out the slides as well, so you could probably get it from there, but it's just covid19ters@labor.gov.za. And the email address for the online submission, or sorry, the website address for the online submission is uifecc.labor.gov.za. Okay. Is there a deadline for TERS submission? For now, it's up to, I think it's for this 3 months. So the requirement is that you must have closed down your operations for a period of 3 months or less. So you're looking at from April, May to up to July, 31st of July. So you can claim up to then for now. Okay, for the online application of TERS, which document do you submit? Is it the bank confirmation letter or the bank statement reflecting the salaries of the prior month? It is the bank confirmation letter. They haven't requested bank statements. Okay. Okay, I'm just reading this next question. It's quite a long one. Okay, for the person that's just submitted this query about Richards Bay and Port Shepstone, if you could just email me, because your one is a little bit more tricky. There's a lot of information in there, so I could just respond to you on email with that. Next question, do you need to submit a claim every month, or is it one claim for the full period? No, you would have to submit each month. It's like normal, a normal UIF claim you're submitting for the month itself. Okay, I'm not too sure if there's any more questions. Okay, it seems to be that's all the questions that we've got thus far. Yeah, so nothing has come through as yet. Okay, so if you've got a question, maybe you could send it through now. Otherwise, then I think we will be ready to log off. Oh, somebody's just asked for my email address. Okay, so it's Farida. I'm just gonna put it up on the slide again, so you can just maybe take it down. So these are my contact details. You can just make a note of it. Okay, I think, yeah. So I think that was the end of our questions. I don't see any new ones coming through. Well, thank you guys for attending our webinar today. I hope I was helpful and I answered some of your questions. We've had quite a bit of information coming through in the last 3 weeks. I think the accountants, other than essential service workers, I think the accountants have been extremely busy over the last 3 weeks. I've actually been quite jealous of some of my friends. Everybody's baking and doing things with their family, and I've been busy sitting in on webinars trying to understand COVID-19 and the impact it has on businesses. So yeah, so please, if you have any additional questions, maybe you think of something afterwards, you can always just send me an email or you can give me a call. And thank you so much for taking the time out and listening to me today. Okay, have a good day, and everybody stay safe.